what's here. But first, they have to find them.
When it came to collecting Soul Eater, I put it on hiatus harder than Togashi puts Hunter x Hunter on hiatus. And that's because Soul Eater, for some odd reason, even though it's one of my favorites, just took a long time to collect. But here we are 2 years later, and 25 volumes read, and I am now doing the Soul Eater review. So, welcome to the review. This is one of my favorite series. I watched the anime twice all the way through, and now this is my second time reading through the manga, and I feel like that I've come to a point to where I feel like I know what I'm talking about for it, but I'm also super excited to actually do this video. So, with that in mind, let's get into the Soul Eater review. This is a place for people who only have good taste.
What's here? But first, they have to find them. What's here?
This is Death Weapon Meister Academy, or DWMA for short. It's a school crafted by Death himself. By that, I mean the literal Grim Reaper, to stop any Kishins from being formed. Now, what exactly is a Kishin? Well, Kishins are the embodiment of pure evil, with Kishins being made by absorbing human souls and spreading madness throughout the world. Death made this school for the sole purpose of stopping these Kishins. In the school, Meisters and weapons are formed to combat those on Death's list. The Meisters are the students who wield the demon weapons, with the goal of creating a Death Scythe. The weapons are students with the ability to transform into a weapon and be wielded by a Meister. The pair works for 99 Kishin souls and the soul of one witch. After they accomplish that, they form the earlier mentioned Death Scythe, which is a weapon that can be used by Death himself. Overall, the school battles the forces of evil, similar to Hogwarts. The main story revolves around the Meister and weapon pair of Maka Albarn and Soul Eater. Along with them, they also have Black Star and his weapon Tsubaki, and Death's own son, Death the Kid, along with his twin pistols, Liz and Patty Thompson. The students fight people that are put onto Death's list, and they will stop at nothing until they stop the Kishin egg from forming into an actual Kishin. And they work really hard at that, until a secret group of people realize that there is something hidden underneath DWMA, and then it becomes released onto the world. And it's now the goal of DWMA to stop the Kishin that has been spread onto the world, and so that way they can keep the peace or the order that Death has created. Now, the story of Soul Eater, even though it's wild, it's out there, it's a crazy story, it's also very simple, because it's just order versus chaos, or madness in this sense. It's basically that everything has the urge of chaos to rise over the order that has been made and put onto the world. It's basically just like the unnatural trying to push over the natural and trying to break the rules that have been made for the world, in a sense. So the actual story of Soul Eater doesn't start until about volume 5. You don't get the actual big fight or the big push into the actual story until volume 5, but this story is still amazing. Those 5 volumes are clearly meant to set up the characters and the story that we need to know, but it is still a great story overall. It's stuff that needs to be put into place at the very beginning, and it's not like it's very slow, but it is slow to get up to that point, but it's not like it's not entertaining. And that's what makes this manga one of my favorites. Now, these chapters in Soul Eater are about as long as Death Note's, but the fact is that there is a lot of action, and it always kept me encapsulated and just wanting to read the next chapter. So, now that I've gotten the good stuff out of the way and all the praise, I've got a small little list of complaints. Number 1, it's that it does take 5 volumes to get to the main story, and like I said, that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it is really weird that it takes that long, and these are, like I said, thick chapters, so it's 5 volumes until you get into, like, the good meat of the story. and until actually something big starts happening. And that's not a bad thing, don't get me wrong. It's just a complaint that I think it takes too long. That's just for my personal taste. It's not bad, it's just it takes a bit too long. And the second complaint that I have is the way that they do the characters. So the way that I feel like that they've done the characters is great. I love all of the characters. Every single character I love in Soul Eater. But here's the thing. One character could be introduced in one chapter and get limelight for the next 3. And they have the most important thing. Because you can't miss what's going on with this character. And of course, you have to have world building. You have to have other characters. But the thing is that they get so much limelight. And you just met them. You have no idea who this person is. Like, I have no idea how some of these characters get put into there because they're good. They're good characters. But it's crazy that they just get thrown into this one spot and they become the whole center of attention for like 3 chapters. And whatever they do just basically counterbalances everything that they've worked up to at that point. And it's pretty wild. I do get this straight before we get it anywhere and before you guys start jumping to conclusions. I do like this story. This story is very creative. It's great. It's amazing. I love it to death. Like I said, it's one of my favorites. But the complaints that I have are very small and very tedious things. Not like it's worth anything of deducting points, like majorly. So, as I said, it's great. I love this story, 100%. And so, this isn't very much of a complaint. These aren't complaints at all. It's very tedious minorities, I guess. I said that there was a small list of complaints before, but in all reality, it's just kind of a small list of minor things. But in all reality, these minorities don't mean a lot of things because of the great and awesome story that Soul Eater provides us with, and I love it dearly. In the first chapter, we are introduced to Maka Albarn, an upright student who is very responsible and sometimes has an uptight kind of tone. Her entire goal is to make Soul into a death scythe, and she works really hard to try to do that. But on the contrast of that, in the first chapter we also meet Soul Eater, that's his actual name. It's the name of the series. So it's so cool. Soul is very laid back. He's just really cool. And he's basically got the charisma of a high school pothead. Along with those two, we also meet Black Star in the second chapter. He's a cocky and stubborn assassin who wants to surpass the gods in strength. Along with that, we also have the sweet and quiet shadow weapon of Black Star, Tsubaki. The final set of people is the group of 3, the symmetry-obsessed, uptight Death the Kid, who is Death's own son, and his chill twin pistols, Liz and Patty Thompson. Now, each of these characters are super great. Each of them has their own different dynamic with each other, and each set has a different way that they all progress. They all don't have the same way that they all become stronger. They all have their separate ways that they become different throughout the entire series. And it's a very unique take on the whole shonen battle, like, time skip. Not really time skip, but kind of shonen battle upgrade. There's not really like any bullcrap moment most of the time. It's mostly just they have their own specific way. For Maka, she makes Soul a death scythe, increasing her anti-magic wavelength to make her more powerful attacks, as well as increasing her soul perception. With Soul using his black blood, they use a combination to stop the madness. On the other hand, Black Star doesn't have soul perception, so he increases his physical strength to find the path of the warrior. He upgrades Tsubaki's weapon forms and becomes stronger in the process. Finally, Kid is attempting to awaken as a Shinigami, so he's trying to connect his lines of Sanzu that are on top of his head. Each weapon and Meister pair of the main group are very different in the way that they each become better. Each of them has a certain path and roadblock that they have to pass in order to get better. And it's one of the main reasons of why I love Soul Eater so much. Over the course of 25 volumes, you get to see these characters develop intensely. You can tell that there is a difference from the very beginning of who they are to the very end. They are all different characters. If I was going to relate the entire cast or the entire set of characters, I'd probably say that this cast is similar to Full Metal Alchemist in the sense that each of the characters have their own sense of development. They're all different, even though some of them are very minor characters. You can tell that they differ throughout the entire series. The whole cast is lovable and entertaining, which is why I love it so much. And even then, these characters are just out of this world to me. And I'm not going to spoil it right here, but there are two characters that make up a certain fight. It's Black Star and Mifune. These two characters have possibly one of my favorite manga fights of all time. Now, I'm not going to spoil it here, but it is definitely one of my favorites. If I were to sum up the entire character section into just a few words, I'd definitely say that these are top-notch characters that have become my all-time favorites, and I would say that Okubo did fantastically when it comes to the series and its characters.
Back to Soul Eater in a moment.
You make me violently ill. You don't even deserve to exist.
On Toonami.
Death Weapon Meister Academy. The proving ground for both Weapon and Meister.
Better get ready, because we're gonna do it!
For Maka, Soul, Black Star, and Tsubaki, the objective is clear. Kill and harvest evil souls.
In the name of Lord Death, this evil must be purged.
The ultimate goal, turn each weapon into a death scythe. Powerful enough for Lord Death himself. When both Weapon and Meister are in perfect resonance,
Witch Hunter!
there's no stopping them.
You trying to kill us?
But these students are a long way from figuring it all out. In fact, they haven't figured much of anything out.
Have you been doing...
Please don't ask. Time to hit the books. Get ready for the series premiere of Soul Eater. Next Saturday at 1 a.m. Eat it.
Your soul is mine!
Only Toonami on Adult Swim.
Now let's roll up our sleeves and get to work.
What's here?
The art in Soul Eater is really good. Like, not only does it have good action scenes, but I love the character looks overall. I love their designs. The thing is, however, is that the art at first doesn't start out good. Like, this is the art of the first chapters. Now this is the art of the final chapters. It's a huge change, right? At first, the art was pretty sharp and rough, with the setting being a huge focus on the atmosphere. At the end, the characters are smoothed down and they look awesome. All of the scenes involving madness and some of the creepy looks that is in the series really give it a disturbing Halloween-type feel. I love the art with the characters, fight scenes, and madness scenes. It's a series that progressively gets better art-wise the more that it goes on.
What's here?
Soul Eater, without a doubt, has slated its spot as one of my top 10 manga of all time. From the very beginning to the very end, I was entranced by the unique story, the interesting characters, and the amazing art. I can say with a lot of certainty that this is a series that I wish it had continued on. I'm glad that it ended at 25 volumes, don't get me wrong, but I also want more. And Soul Eater not, if I'm being real, probably won't suffice that. So, you're never gonna see a video about that on this channel. But, I love this series from volume 1 to volume 14 to volume 25. It was just a thrill ride. With that in mind, I'm going to give Soul Eater a 9.8 out of 10. This series is way too good to not read. I highly recommend that anybody goes and picks up the series, even though that it is a little bit pricey. Now, here's the thing. If you would like to buy Soul Eater, like I said, is 25 volumes, and it is about $12 to $13 a volume. There's 25 volumes. There's no box set for it, and sadly, this is the only format that you can buy Soul Eater in. It's just these single volumes. There's no omnibus versions. There's no box set. It's just I had to go and collect these one by one. That's probably why it took so long, but that doesn't change the fact that you should go and buy the series because it's great, and I love it. Now, this is something new I'm giving a shot, and that's suggested series. So if you just finished the series and need something new to go off of, I recommend as the first series, Full Metal Alchemist. FMA has a great cast of characters as well as a unique story, similar to Soul Eater. And another series I'd recommend is Noragami, a series that has a similar human turning into weapon concept with the wielder of the weapon having a certain purpose of collecting something. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, then I suggest you go and watch some of my other reviews or you watch some of my other videos. I really do have a lot of fun making my videos, and I think that you would all like them if you're watching this video. I'm a big manga person. If you haven't been here before, then you should probably know that this is something that I typically talk about. Then I talk about some game stuff every once in a while. Hey, but I just kind of do my own thing. But you guys should also follow me on Twitter for the time that I rarely ever post anything. But yes, I absolutely love this series, and I cannot wait until I read it again. Probably next year, who knows. But with that in mind, I will see you guys in the next video.